Hey, friends, welcome to Exit Stage Left. I'm your host, Neethi Bali, and we're broadcasting live from the Food Church here on North Carolina. We're people at peace, and we have declared peace to all nations around the world. This is not a marketing or a promotional channel, and we are shining a light on knowledge that is being hidden from you. So we are sharing the truth about your birthright and your inheritance. If you have any questions, please put them in all caps and only enter them once per show. Today, I am joined by the host of the American States Assembly's podcast and co leader of the Outreach Think Tank. Welcome, Tammy Healy.
Hey, Neethi. Thank you so much for having me again.
Well, thank you for joining me. And I always appreciate, all your just the excitement and the joy that you bring with you in every episode. So thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Pleasure to be here.
I hope everybody's doing well out there today, you guys. We have a fun topic, I think. It's an eye-opening topic, maybe.
Yeah, it's probably a topic that we need to discuss. I know a lot of people in our assemblies, I think, are aware of what we're going to talk about today, but I think the general public, it's going to be more of an eye-opening for them and something to really think long and hard about.
Yeah. So what we want to do is start with just a quick little video, guys. We want to play something for you, and then we can get into it. How's that?
Going on across the US and really the rest of the world at this point, you need to understand these concepts, psychological dynamics, and experiments. The first is the Asch experiment, which showed that people will deny obvious reality to conform with a group's incorrect opinion, revealing how social pressure and groupthink can override perception, logic, and truth-telling. The second.
So we thought we would let him go over each one of these and we would just kind of shine a little bit of a light. So what he's talking about right now is this Asch experiment. And I don't know, what are your thoughts right off the top, Tammy? You remember this one?
Yeah, what comes to mind for me is the whole transgender movement, right? Or even like the furry thing, right? Like I know there's some schools out there that are putting cat litter boxes in their bathrooms if the students identify as a cat. I mean, logic clearly has left their minds.
Because about logic, but the truth, right? They have these babies literally lying, which is immoral, And
right.
But look, y'all, the Asch this experiment was conducted by Solomon Asch in the 50s. It was demonstrating how individuals often prioritize group consensus over their own sense and logic, which is what Tammy's talking about. And in this one, if you look, they have the ABC3 participants, and then they have the one guy. They're comparing these lines, these ABC lines, to this one line, and they're asking all of these stooges, hey guys, pick the line A, B, or C that most matches this I right here. And so they have 6 people, and 5 of them are actors. And they're basically like, if the 5 of them are acting like, it must be the other one, they're picking different ones, then just out of the desire to fit in, some people were trying to conform.
Right. So like if they said that they, I think I is more closer to C, right? And the innocent participant is like, yeah, well, I kind of think it seems more closer to B for me, and C just seems like it's really extreme, right? That it can't clearly be C, but everybody else says it's C. So, what does that innocent participant do? Does he conform and agree? Okay, yeah, you're right. It is closer to C. Or do they stand firm and say, no, I don't know what y'all are seeing here, but it looks like B to me.
Yeah. I mean, but this is something that we often see. We're watching this within even our own assemblies, right? Like someone says, oh, that guy is good or bad, whatever it might be. And then someone else is saying, yeah, and they're kind of just jumping on the bandwagon.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Instead of using their own experience with that man or woman, or seeing the fruits of their labor, right? Like,
mhm.
how are they acting? Does what they're saying line up with what you see to be true? Like those are things that we really, that's called critical thinking skills. And so we need to get
Mhm.
back to that instead of jumping on the bandwagon.
Also, you see this, Tammy, with the people who think that weather modification isn't real. And you're just like, dude, can you see the plane out there right now in the sky? You don't see the lines that plane's making?
Right. Yeah.
And like you literally can't see it.
Yeah, I
And
wanted to go, open your eyes. Like I literally wanted to pry their eyes open and be like, do you not see this? There's literally lines up there. I'm sorry. Like,
well, then they have the Stooges saying, I think you're a conspiracy theorist, or
right. Oh
or
yeah, he's a conspiracy theorist. And then everybody agrees that I'm the
Yeah.
conspiracy theorist. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, how do you know that they're really dumping that out on purpose? I mean, and meanwhile, poor innocent participant, us, we're just like, well, can't you see it with your eyes? Anyway,
that's not normal, right? It's not normal. So how about we investigate it, and then we could all find out what is going on up there, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's really amazing. I know I see this also like with just like, people trying to get healthier and with food. You see it with exercise. You see it with all kinds of things in society. But anyway, this is just the first one, guys. Let me get him back up here, our friend. And let's see what the next one
is social media algorithms these days. Algorithms are feeding you content that matches your pre-existing beliefs and shows you the most extreme version of the beliefs you oppose while stoking fear, rage, and drama. Over time, this narrows perception, weakens critical thought, keeps you in fight or flight, and turns your political identity into a dopamine loop.
Wow, a dopamine loop.
Oh yeah. I mean, I see this constantly on Facebook.
Yes.
And X, people are lashing out at each other, and you've got such strong opposing sides, right? You've got the conservatives and the liberals are attacking the conservatives are attacking the liberals, and they get a rise out of it. They actually find themselves so funny. They think it's funny to be completely obliterating, annihilating, belittling, their fellow men and women, and by smacking that label on them and making fun of their beliefs. And both sides don't even know that they're being manipulated to believe those beliefs,
Yeah.
and that they're getting a dopamine rush out of responding on Facebook, arguing on Facebook, and so these are things like that you have to withdraw from, right? Like to get back to sanity, compassion, love, and out of that low vibration mode, because that's really what it gets you in, is a low vibration mode. You may temporarily receive like a dopamine fix from it, but it's only temporary, which is why you have to keep going back for more, and why you see so many arguments. I mean, I've seen family members not even talk to each other anymore because of that issue.
Yeah.
And so, my advice is just don't even engage.
Right.
Don't engage.
I mean, is what is promoting the low self-esteem, the decreased life satisfaction. It is really creating a lot of self-harm.
Yeah. I mean, I have a feeling
people.
I have a family member who gets high blood pressure every time they go on Facebook, and they're on Facebook all the time. And I'll say, get off of Facebook
Right.
and watch your blood pressure come down naturally.
I mean, but then there's FOMO, and so that's the problem. They're just fearful of missing out. And then, but meanwhile, it creates this, vision of other people's perfect lives, which, literally makes you spiral out of the negative feelings that you have because of whatever it is that you might be actually facing. And they're saying that these studies are linked to, all the depression, all the anxiety that we're watching people who are too anxious to go to a market or the store or to go work with their farmers to even bring home nutrition. And then they come home and they get back on these screens, and they're doing the dopamine hit is for the connection, guys. They
Yes.
want, connection, but like we're encouraging everyone to go get connected in real life,
Yes.
and not on the social media. We have to be really careful and conscious about that.
The social media, I feel like, is great to get information out and share information. That's what this is, right?
Right.
But you don't need to engage in a battle with your friends and your family members.
Right.
It's just not worth that.
It's not healthy.
No.
Okay, so let's see the next one.
The third is false dilemmas like the left and right paradigm, a forced binary that makes people think there are only two options, hiding deeper alternatives like, opting out of the belief in authority entirely while keeping everyone trapped in a tribal conflict. The fourth.
What do you say to that?
Yeah. I mean, you've got, I see the whole, false dilemmas all the time, with
Right.
Democrats and Republicans,
Yeah.
Yeah. But we also have, like the, in our assemblies, we, or I should say, our founders created a form of government for us that's called the Republican form of government because it values and protects everybody's personal rights, right? There is no mob rule like a democracy where whatever I say goes and you have to obey it, as long as you are doing no harm to anyone or their property, you're free to live your life.
I mean, it really, you know what, friends, it oversimplifies this complexity. So it reduces complex issues into like a black and white choice. It's ignoring all the things, all the options. I hear, even people in our family, I hear them say, well, they don't really have a choice now, do they?
Right.
And I'm like, you always have a choice, okay? And so you have free will choice. This is what they don't want you to remember. And what we're working on here at Exit Stage Left is trying to bring you back to the remembering, because that's what's going on right now, But they present two options as if they can't both be true and they can't coexist, for example. But also they deliberately want to omit the valid choices, that you could otherwise have, because there's always, you guys, an infinite number of solutions that you can choose from.
Right.
So we really need to do that. The other thing that they like to say a lot, just so you know who's doing this, is you must support this, or you don't care about that, or you must not care about safety, or, you can't do that. You either like ketchup or mayonnaise. You can't love them both. Okay. Or who uses ketchup and mayonnaise? Oh my goodness,
Right.
So it's usually that kind of thing, or suggesting that a product is the only way to solve a problem.
Right.
So, anyway, shall we continue?
Yeah, go for it.
Fourth is the Karpman drama triangle, which is a manipulation pattern where people get locked into three roles: victim, persecutor, and rescuer, keeping everyone emotionally reactive, dependent, and stuck in blame while preventing self-responsibility and real solution-oriented critical thought.
It's always going against the critical thought, right?
Well, yeah, and you've got that, like you said, you've got that victim, right? Like what did he say? It's a
Here, I'm trying to
manipulation
pull it. I'm trying
pattern,
to.
right? The victim and persecutor and then rescuer, right?
Mhm. I'm gonna
Um,
pull it up for you. Here we go. I'm like not as fast as I'd like to be. There, can you see it? Oh no.
no, I
There
don't
you
see
go.
anything. Oh,
There.
there we go.
Okay. So I don't know if I can make it any bigger.
I think I see it fine on my screen.
You do? Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's got the persecutor, the rescuer, and the victim. And then it's talking about, the persecutor is the one who doesn't have any value, or they don't value, sorry, other people's views and integrity. They're the angry guy, the bullier, demanding, spiteful, judgmental, aggressive. Then you got the rescuer. They're always seeming to be like self-sacrificing, overly helpful. They want to be needed, or they're just constantly meddling actually, and they're engulfing. Then you got the victim, the manipulative, poor me syndrome, helpless, needy, complaining, fretful, downtrodden, the blamer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And oh, look, it tells us this right here. We can, of course, it tells us everything about it, right? This is the anybody who's interested in studying this, it's the Karpman drama triangle. But we have these actors everywhere. They're dramatic actors, right?
And I think that they like to use this type of, psychological strategy because especially people who are living that victim mentality, those are the people that like to complain a lot. They complain about injustices that they see in the world, and their rescuer is the bureaucrats, right? Oh, I'm going to go to the election poll and I'm going to elect this bureaucrat to fix my problems for me, and they don't realize that these bureaucrats don't work for them.
Right.
They don't get their paycheck, well, they technically do get their paycheck from the people, but the way that the system is structured, it's a corporation. So there's a CEO that hires and fires these people, and they're just given the illusion that they're there to actually, set legislation. So, the victim mentality doesn't work in our government.
No.
That's not what self-governing men and women are about. But these are things to be aware of because these are ways in which the system controls people. These are psychological tactics that they're using to control people.
Right. Just kind of get this in your head about the triangle so you can, identify these disruptors because there's so many of them, right?
Right.
Yeah. All right. Let me get the next one up here. Well, I wish there was a faster way to do it. I'm like kind of slow. I'm sorry. There's so many buttons.
Right. You're fine.
It is zealous hero worship when people outsource discernment to an authority figure and treat them as morally infallible, creating blind spots where followers excuse behaviors they'd condemn in anyone else. The sixth.
Yes.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yes.
That's a big one because when I was still a U.S. citizen going back in 2016, I called myself a Republican. And so I remember watching all the candidates for presidency, right?
Yeah.
And I, at the time, I had liked what Ben Carson had to say, and so that was my choice as far as the people up there. But then Trump ended up getting the nominee. And so I was like, okay, I didn't really care for him. I thought, I didn't really appreciate somebody up there constantly, putting other people down. And it seemed like really a lot of people really enjoyed that.
Right.
It was like a clown show to me. But and I don't think that that's what a healthy debate. It was like they were debating and putting each other down personally, and they really weren't discussing what, things that mattered, to the people. But it seemed like, to me afterwards, viewing everybody else's, reactions to it, they really enjoyed it. So it was more like entertainment for them. It was like that shock and awe value. But in any case, I found myself, I was in the same predicament where I had heard him say some very foul things about women and some of the other things that he was getting himself involved in or had been involved in. And it was like you overlook it. Right? It's okay. You can't get anybody. I hear this with people all the time. Oh, he's not perfect. So that's like they're rationing, right? They're rationalizing the bad things and the character flaws that doesn't really, make for a great candidate. And they overlook those flaws because they're trying to rationalize why they're choosing him, because they think there's only either him as a choice or the other party as a choice, right? We go back to that other tactic that they use. But I see it all the time. People rationalizing these bureaucrats' bad behaviors. And it's in society too, with other people that we admire. It could be Hollywood stars, right? Some of the things that they've been involved in that people overlook and they don't care. Like I remember learning about Disney. I boycotted Disney because I was like, nope, not going there no more.
Right.
Not going to support that. But other people, they just don't care.
They don't know. They don't know, right? But then this goes back like what you were already talking about, like the blind defense, right?
Yes.
And they're just attacking whoever points out the flaws, whoever is pushing you to exercise your critical thinking. And instead of like thinking, like considering what that guy or gal is saying, or like, again, just kind of wrapping this up, right? Like the echo chambers where they basically are discouraging your own critical thinking. Or, they just want to like create echo chambers of praise or something.
Because they need a hero. And that's kind of what that picture depicts right there is there's a hero that they're worshiping.
And right? It's a disillusion. Like they really want to lead you into this disillusionary, back into the matrix. So that is it, right? We're as self-governing people breaking out and they're trying to lure you back in to the matrix, basically.
Right.
Yep. Man.
I mean, it's really some bad psychological tactics here. I mean, this is some really manipulative strategies to control people.
Right. And it's very prevalent. It's very prevalent. That's the part that's crazy. So you have to admit that you can know just by this rundown that we're doing how manipulated everyone is with the de facto brainwashing and mind control.
Right. Oh yeah, I was going to say these people that are using these tactics, they know psychology, they know the human brain, they know how it works, and so they're using their knowledge that, of course, they kept from us to control, manipulate us. So I love it that this guy is breaking it down like this.
Yeah, he does a great job.
They'd condemn in anyone else.
Okay.
The sixth is the Milgram experiment, which showed that ordinary people will inflict harm on others when instructed by an authority figure, even when it violates their conscience, highlighting how obedience can override morality. The seventh is
the Milgram experiment was crazy. I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with it, but it was in the 1960s, and it was a famous social psychology study demonstrating people's surprising willingness to obey authority figures, even when ordered to perform actions against their conscience, like administering electric shocks.
Yep.
Despite how visibly, distressed the person
The victim,
receiving
right? Yeah.
the victim was. And it was, I mean, it's actually, when you watch the video, it's really terrifying.
Yeah, it's really appalling to see how far the guy actually went, even hearing the victim in distress, even though the victim in the experiment was an actor. He didn't know that because he was a part of the experiment to see how
Right.
far he would go with given authority to tell him what to do, right? And we see that today with the doctors that gave out the shots.
In just one of many examples.
Oh, one of many, yes. Or the people forcing you to wear a mask when you know damn well that mask didn't do anything to protect you from any kind of a virus, so-called virus. And in fact, it was more detrimental to your health.
Right.
But everybody, not everybody, but people complied. And those that were in positions to force it on you, I mean, they did a pretty banged up job forcing that on people.
Yeah. I mean, you also find this a lot with the gossip that Anna keeps addressing, where you have someone who keeps calling someone and pressing them to think or feel some way about someone else, despite any honest effort that we'll just call him the fake test subject, right? Is whatever they're doing to help with the progress. There's someone in the background trying to convince somebody else that they are being manipulated by this said somebody who's making progress.
Right.
And don't you think that's interesting that there's someone supposedly working with you who is talking about someone who's actually helping you make progress?
Yeah. And if I find myself getting involved in those kinds of conversations, I don't even entertain it anymore. It's just, it's just not something that I'm interested in. If you want to talk about somebody across state borders, I'm not interested. Don't come to me and talk to me about somebody else. Work it out with your people, work it out with your fellow man and woman. If you've got a problem with, whoever it is, talk to them one-on-one, work it out. We're all connected in a way, having this earthly experience. They're your fellow brother or sister, treat them neighborly. That's what it's, I know for me I follow the Bible is, treat your neighbor as you would want them to treat you. And so these are concepts that we have to start implementing with each other. Just stop the bullshit already. I'm so tired of it. And I think Anna has just about had enough. I mean, grown people need to grow up.
Right.
That's all.
Right. I mean, we have to self-parent our way out of it or whatever we have to do, but do the work. I mean, all of this is the man looking in the mirror. It's not outside of you. It's not happening outside of you. Okay, let's see what else he says.
The Stanford prison experiment, which showed how quickly people can adopt abusive behaviors when placed in roles of power, like guards, over others, showing how authority structures can bring out cruelty even without explicit orders.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I mean, and we already know that those guys in the prison system, already are overreaching.
Right.
With a lot of their stuff. I mean, this is,
Well, I think of even locally, the sheriffs, right? The sheriffs come to your house and evict people out of their homes for fake mortgages, for fraud. They're perpetrating this because who told them to, right?
I mean, they're just doing their job. Okay. So like I was a victim Saturday. I got kidnapped. And if you were to hear the whole story, you'd be like, what in the actual world is going on here? I mean, we can talk about that after this, but these people are in a position of being in charge, we'll say, right? I mean, what they don't realize is that, what? Self-governing people don't police. We don't
Right.
police ourselves. And
Well, we self-govern ourselves. We don't have to quote unquote police ourselves, right? But
we
self-governing
don't
men and
police
women,
each other.
yeah,
Okay.
right. We don't police each other either. I mean, we hold each
Right.
other accountable, and as self-governing men and women, we're responsible, right?
Right.
We have to rise up to a higher expectation, is that, we're here to show up and to be responsible and accountable. That's
Mhm.
it. That's the bottom line. And so you don't need somebody to police you if you're responsible and accountable.
Right. Right. And but a lot of folks are really struggling
Yes.
with how to be accountable and responsible. I think a lot of people also fear really just addressing the people, because I hear a lot of people who say things like, "Oh, well, I'm not controversial. I don't like controversy like you do." And I'm just like, "No, who wants to be in any controversy?" But also grow up, and there's, things that you have to handle. That's like crying because your tire's flat and now you need somebody to do something about it. But this is the whole society, right? Like
Right.
someone else needs to come and fix it
Right.
all the
Right.
time, whatever it is. Well, they can't fix your lack of confidence, your lack of loving yourself, your fear of, lack,
Right. Yeah.
or all of these things. These are all things that are happening inside of you, and it is a emotional theatrical drama that is being impressed upon you, and you're allowing it.
Right.
So
And I think because we've grown up in a society where, it's a nanny state, right?
yeah.
That we have somebody that is there to take care of things for us, that, we're brainwashed into believing that we're safe with somebody that is the authoritative figure that's going to tell us what to do. Self-governing men and women don't need to be told what to do. If we see a problem, we'll figure out how to deal with it.
Mhm.
We don't need, I mean, if we're going to need help because it's something that's beyond our knowledge base, or, our skill sets, then you then ask others for help. And again, that's also being self-governing, right? You don't sit
Mhm.
around and wait for that person to show up and do it for you.
I mean, this entire experiment basically showed that, it was easy for these guys to learn how to break people. And it was contested and criticized. I mean, it was immoral. Okay, let's just start with that. To violate other people, but most people don't really even stand up for their own free will choice.
Right.
So, that's a different problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see what he has to say next.
The eighth is controlled opposition. This is a big one. When a resistance figure or faction appears to oppose corruption, but actually funnels anger back into the system, keeping people emotionally invested in politics while preventing real structural change. The ninth.
Yeah, I've seen this actually. With even going back to the bureaucrats, right? Where they, we know that Trump was calling out and saying that he had to drain the swamp, right?
Right.
But the other thing that I say to people all the time, is when the January Sixers got arrested, I thought, where was Trump to get them out of jail? He was the one that encouraged everybody to walk to the Capitol. It was almost like it was a setup, right? To walk to the Capitol. And apparently, you had those infiltrators that were wearing Capitol Police uniforms and let people into the Capitol. And that's supposedly why they got in trouble. But I mean, there's all these different things like tactics like that, calling something out for something, but then, contributing to it.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing that we see, I think, well, first of all, everybody, it's often cited like, it's tactics used by agencies like the CIA, the KGB,
Right.
anti-establishment sentiment.
MI6. Yep.
Yeah. But the biggest thing that you would, I think, see day to day is there's a control group which seems to like spread disinformation or focuses on minor issues, distracting from, moving forward in solution.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And
I've seen that. Yep.
Yeah. And also because, we don't see a whole lot of them on the ground, like where they're actually controlling groups based on, bribes or blackmail or something like that.
Right.
You don't generally see that, amongst just the everyday people. It's more of, there's also this thing where, people just want to be like, well, I'm more studied than you are. You haven't known or studied this as long as me. And then they want to be seen as more knowledgeable, more, flat-footed on the topic, and then diminishing. So, but if they're diminishing, I mean, that doesn't make any sense. But then to just take the whole group and just keep them walking into what they don't know and saying, but we don't know this yet, but we don't know this yet, but we don't know this yet, so we can't do it. Right? It's a stall tactic.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Or, I've seen when you're working on a project, whatever that may be, that all of a sudden somebody has a grand idea of something that we need to put our focus on now. And like you said, it's taking the attention away from really what you've been working on and moving forward with. So it's almost like a tactic to distract you into doing something else.
I think we're all facing that on the assemblies. Anybody who's been in it long enough now, I think, can clearly see that there's always something going on that is kind of holding everybody back into the chains, right?
Yeah. And there was another controlled opposition, when I was, formally a part of a local patriot group. I was trying to get them to read the book Fruit from a Poisonous Tree, because that was one of the books that really opened my eyes. And so I kept asking the group, did you guys get it? We took a break for the holidays. And I said, you guys read it? And nobody was reading it. And I'm like, all right, I found it in a PDF. We're good. We were meeting once a week. And so I said, all right, we're going to read it together.
Yeah.
And then we're going to discuss it. And everybody was okay with it, except we had a few people that I think were, the controlled opposition that was coming into these groups pretending to actually want, like a wannabe patriot. And they looked like they were, opposing, these injustices. But really, they would come to the meetings and then they'd belittle what we're doing. Like one guy came in and was like, when did this turn into a book club? And it was like,
you're welcome. You're welcome. We're studying with you.
Right, exactly. And so it was like belittling people to get that knowledge. And so that's a sign of controlled opposition.
Yes, 100%. All right, let's see what he says next. Yeah.
Ninth is the Hegelian dialectic, a pattern where a problem is created or amplified, a predicted reaction is generated, and then solution is introduced that expands control. People accept the solution because they've been psychologically primed by the crisis. And this is exactly what is going on in the US right now and across the rest of the world. And unless you understand these concepts, understand human psychology, and understand how these devices are manipulating your perception, you will fall for all of it.
100%.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, I have just a few, like COVID-19, 9/11, some of, the school shootings. I mean, there's so many that in our lifetime, that have put
9/11. I mean, just it's everything. Everything. I mean, if you're in public school, then this is it. So, but we can bring it back to the agenda for like the banking, right? Because they started with the monopoly money. That's the agenda, right?
Right.
And so the thesis is, it's, you have something backed by nothing. The antithesis is the goal back, right? Money. And then when they synthesize it, right, the removal of all freedoms and transfer of power from the many to the few, they offer the gold backed, coin that they can digitally manage. So
Right.
they
That they digitally
still control you.
they still control it. Yeah. And going back to 9/11,
Mm-hmm.
because shortly thereafter we had the Patriot Act, right? And we had all
Right.
these freedoms removed. Like when you go to the airport, you have to go through all these ridiculous, security measures,
Mm-hmm.
and then making sure that you have real ID and I mean nonsense. But they're keeping you safe, and you've got people that are actually they appreciate it. They're like, oh, thank you for keeping me safe, and they really have fallen hook, line, and sinker for it. And it's crazy. I mean, even today, people still believe that 9/11 was a real terrorist attack on our country. They really believe that.
Yeah. I mean, friends, we have to, I mean, Anna demonstrates for us, how much she has to study and know. Right. But she's not the only one who's capable of knowing all that.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of catching up to her. I don't know if we'll ever catch up to her, but
Right.
and I think she probably has people in her life that are way beyond her knowledge as well. So it's just a journey for all of us. But I feel like, did you ever watch the show with your kids when it was out, The Flash?
Yes.
And you remember when he was reading it so fast? I was like, that's what I need.
I know.
That's what I need. I need to read it so fast and comprehend it because to go on to the next book, because I have so many books to read. And so it's
But
just,
what about the experiences that we want to have, and he was able to go into the lab and do all the experiments and like see the results, and then he could even turn back the time to come back and be like, okay, now I have the solution. Let me waste a whole bunch of time and learn all this stuff, and then I'll be back in a minute. And
Right. And one thing is that you said something earlier, and I just kind of want to touch on it a bit, is that nobody across our assemblies should be belittling or making people feel bad for not knowing something, right? Because we're all coming to this table with a different life experience, and we're all gaining that knowledge on a different level. And this is what these podcasts are great for, is because we get to share that knowledge that we have with other people across these digital platforms. And it's not to make people feel bad about not knowing it, and so, like, I just, that's really disheartening to hear that, people are doing that.
I mean, most of when I see someone doing that is really passive aggressive.
Yeah.
And they don't realize how passive aggressive they are. I mean, some people, it's like their habit. And, it's been part of their training.
Yeah.
It was like,
sometimes they have to put other people down in order to make themselves feel better about themselves. Right. I mean, that's also something that I've witnessed, is that usually those people have a low self-esteem.
Yeah.
And so it makes them feel better if they know something that somebody else doesn't, and they could put them down, and like you said, in like a passive aggressive kind of way. I've seen that too. And, that's not a behavior that we should be, distributing in our assemblies. That's just not.
But I mean, anybody who went to public school, university, things like that, a lot of them, that's where they pick all that stuff up, depending on how they were treated. And I mean, I remember back in my day, how some of the teachers could be, and how they kind of, they were pretty mean to some of the people, to some of the kids, or they would get really frustrated with some of them or whatever. And then, of course, sorry.
I was like, "Ooh, somebody's whistling at you."
Sorry. Yeah. But I mean, we have to kind of give each other a little bit of grace in knowing that a lot of these behaviors, folks have developed into their bad habits as a side effect of their schooling and training or parenting or whatever. But we can't be the blamers and blaming those people anymore either. We can't be using it as an excuse anymore. We,
Right.
We have to take control. And like everyone is saying a lot in our groups, to do the inner healing, do the inner work, like look inward, like focus. But I mean, there's a lot of reparenting involved. I mean, I know I had to go through that, and I don't know too many people who didn't have to do something like that to,
Right.
in order to get past all the ways that we were lied to,
Yeah, and I think that's a lifelong journey. It's not like a one and done. That's what I
Right.
think a lot of people have to also comprehend, is that, you may have done some inner work years ago and you could think, "Oh, I did that, been there, done that," but for me, I realize that, it's a constant work,
Yeah.
it's you have to work at it, because there's still some things that I could be triggered by. And then, when I notice that I've been triggered, I have to really go inward and really start searching, why was I triggered?
Yeah, like
what
what
did,
just happened? Because I thought I was done with that.
yeah, yeah,
Or what happened with this and why, oh, how did that creep back into my life,
yeah, yeah. And
So,
and sometimes it happens to the best of us, and all you have to do is just, it's a work in progress. Everybody's got to work on it, and it's never a one and done. We're always trying to undo some of this damage. I know, whether it's through education, right? You're unschooling, and then you're people call it reprogramming, whatever terminology you want to use to describe the working of, working on yourself inwardly. And I think, Deborah Ann says this often on the podcast. We're missing her today, but she says that, when you respond to somebody in a negative way, it's just kind of, you are reflecting what you feel inside. And so, these are things, we have to constantly be thinking that, Neethi, I'm going to honor and love you. I just actually had this conversation with my son, because he was at work and he was disrespected by his boss. And he was so ticked off. He called me. He's like, "Mom, I need to talk to you about this." And he's like, "How do you think I should handle this?" And I said, "Well, first of all, because they're not acting in honor, that doesn't mean that you get to dishonor them also. You have to remain in truth and honor and remain respectful to them."
right.
And and give them the opportunity to rectify the problem, right? Like, you go to them like, "Hey, this is what happened yesterday. This is how I felt. And I don't really appreciate, the way that you handled this," and give them the opportunity, because some people don't even know, they don't even realize or recognize that they're doing any harm, because
Right.
that is just their programming, and it's nothing personal, right? It's not something that they're doing just to you. This is just how they behave. This is just how they act, and it's normal. And until you address it with them and let them know, "Hey, I really didn't appreciate the way that you handled this yesterday. I really felt disrespected." And you explain it to them, and you give them the opportunity to rectify it. And then if it continues, well, then you just know that these people are just douchebags. I don't know how else to say it, but and that's the problem, right? Is
Right.
that people have to, again, care. they have to care about their fellow man or woman.
Right.
And, you know, like if somebody said to me, like, I felt disrespected when you said that, I would take that to heart and be, you know, basically be like, well, I'm really sorry. I didn't realize that I disrespected you, and, you know, thank you for telling me that. And I would be more conscious and aware of
Right.
the words that I chose next time when I'm speaking with them.
Yeah.
You know,
It makes you a better owner, a better manager, better whatever. And it is a give and take. You have to be open. I mean, that's what living people do, right?
Yeah.
Living people have to just, a lot of people don't want to own that. A lot of people use that also as an excuse when they don't actually do it. Like,
Right.
I think it's fascinating how many people are the leaders and the teachers who won't stand up for themselves and advocate for themselves, and then use that as an excuse to belittle someone else who's making progress.
Right.
And then I'm like, I think that you might be the opposition. Like, what is, you know what I mean? Because you're too ahead to be that behind on some things. And we are watching these patterns, right? And I'm really curious. Like, is there brainwashing and mind control that daggone good? Like, it's
Could be.
really amazing. It's really amazing. I mean, we have to give it to them, man. They really.
Yeah. I mean, Neethi, I think that there's, there's also what I call lost souls, meaning that they haven't found their way in life, right? Like they haven't figured out what it is, or maybe, something happened in their life that, that made them feel bad about themselves, and they're constantly needing, to prove themselves.
I mean, just going to school is enough for everybody to feel that way, Tammy.
Right.
Come on. Like the whole society was set up that way. I mean, just the fact that you're supposed to feel like trash because the policy officer pulled you over to give you a ticket.
Right.
I mean, for
Yeah.
a law that's not a law.
Yeah.
Just that, like, think about it. It's everywhere.
Yeah. Well, and those police officers are being trained, but yet they're not using their own critical thinking skills to say, why am I pulling her over? She really didn't. And again, it goes back to, right, the being the authoritative figure, right? Like you're wearing the uniform, you're wearing the badge, you've got the gun, and you've got the car with the lights. So now you're pulling somebody over for what, maybe going over 10 miles over the speed limit, but you weren't driving recklessly, but they have to make
Going
sure
with traffic, with
Yeah.
everybody else, and also you're an old lady, and also you're not really a threat to anybody, and all.
Right.
Like, what are we doing here, friends? Like,
Yeah.
what kind of law are you upholding? What kind of problems are you seeking? It's got to. I mean, why isn't it a joke that you look like, G.I. Joe, and everybody else just looks like little old ladies and and gentlemen, and you're just out here like you're in a war zone, and you want to act like you need to flex. Like, what is going on?
Yeah, I don't think that they're thinking of it in that way, and it all goes back to the training and the indoctrination that this is what their job is to do, and we are to obey. And they're not aware of, that
Facts and truth and
yes,
logic
and real laws. They're not
real
aware of the real laws.
Right. And then and they're just kind of geeked up all the time. Like, just think about how evil that is. Just think about how evil it is. It's really quite evil. All right, Tammy, we've been doing this for like 50 minutes. We have like just a couple of questions. Is it okay if we just
Yeah, shoot, let's go for it.
So this is interesting. How do I get a new mailing box without de facto box? So when I'm reading this, I'll just answer it my way. You answer it your way. Okay, Tammy? I think that this could be one of two things. So one, you are like a homesteader, landowner, or you have like a house that you own, and you go out to the street, you rename your property. So, like, for example, if you live at 123 Highway 9, right? Then that's the address that they give you. They own that address is for the front, like from the middle of the road in front of your house till, like, I don't know, maybe I think it's it's not it's
It's
like
the
6.
easement in front of the house.
Yeah, it's the easement in front. So, like, I think the standard is like not 6, it might be 6 feet right at the edge. Okay. Actually everybody's easement is different based on county. It's not even on state. So you have to kind of look up your county parameters. And in some places it depends on like if you're in a different kind of neighborhood, they might have changed some of the rules. So just kind of look at that. But anyway, you're renaming your actual parcel. And so you would rename it, and then you have to actually use their address to get mail, but your address for all purposes regarding your actual land, what's going to be your land patent. You would rename it.
Yeah, because from my understanding, I think that the mailbox number, and again, because from my understanding, and I could be wrong, but we hired the postal service to provide us with, mail, to deliver our mail for us. So they had the ability to come around and name our streets and name our mailbox.
Right.
But they weren't supposed to name our house where we live, right? And that's how they latched upon our property, is by taking that mailing number and latching it onto our property and our house.
The parcel.
And that's how they latched upon it. But as far as your mail goes, from what I understand, is that your mailbox number is just to receive your mail.
Right. And you probably don't want to change that. So
right.
That's what we're basically
and I know
saying.
that we also have, and this could be what they're referring to, is a rural route address.
Maybe they're looking for that. I don't know. I mean, all this question did was give me a bunch more questions. Like, I don't know which way, but right now I'm studying a lot about the post office and the postal courts and about the Postmaster General, which, and I mean, and
we've got a lot to learn.
Right. So, like what Anna says, and just so you know, you're not going to learn about the Postmaster and the Postmaster General in 5 minutes. In fact, Anna says you can spend the rest of your life studying it. So whatever I think I know about it, it's nothing, definitely compared to what Anna knows about it. But every day I can go through like so much information and be like, wow, it's crazy how much information and power is in the Postal Service. Everyone should just be in awe. That's all I have to say about it.
And I think that your mailing box is nothing more than just a tool for them to get you your mail. And then the name of your property, that is something I think that is a part of getting your land patent and why you would want to rename your property, but you don't need to rename your mailing box.
Your mailbox. That's why we say in care of that box.
Yeah.
It's in care of that mailbox that you don't live in. So just know that. Okay. Kelly, I know that you like to really care about the taxes from the last several episodes. Well, it says it on every single tax form. On every single tax form, it says that it's basically voluntary, and on top of which, it's a federal income tax. And we have earnings; we don't have any income.
Yeah, we have compensation.
Right.
I mean, this. So I have a friend here who said that her uncle was a CPA and knows about the fact that we it's a voluntary system, and he
Mhm.
doesn't pay taxes, and he's a CPA.
Mhm.
So,
I know
think that
plenty
your
of CP. I know,
CPAs
yeah.
your CPAs that you're going to,
Mhm.
you just need to show them the codes. I mean, we talked about that last
Mhm.
week. There was codes that we cited, so just show it to them.
Well, she's
And
talking to
if they
somebody
don't want to,
online.
if they don't want to
I'm
accept it, then
yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. Go to a different CPA.
She says she's talking to them online. Listen, if you're arguing with people online, just
Oh
stop it.
yeah,
Like, what are you doing?
no, that's
I
not
mean,
worth
I'm,
it.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna tell
that's
you. I'm
ridiculous.
gonna tell you what else. You're arguing with them about the business that they're making money on.
And
You,
it could be a bot that you're arguing with.
yeah, just
You
stop
know,
it. Yeah, I
it's
think
not
that.
worth it. It's going back to the tactics that we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Right? That dopamine fix and arguing with people. If you don't need to go to a CPA for services,
Yeah.
or if you're not, or if you're like rebutting something with your own CPA, it's
Right.
not worth it to get, if they want to be willfully ignorant, let them be willfully ignorant. It's not
Right.
your job to educate them. You gave them the breadcrumbs, you offered it to them. If they don't want to accept it to be truth, there's nothing you
Mhm.
can do about that.
My CPA, when we were still doing all that and when we were learning everything, whatever information I would go to her with, she was thrilled to be able to help me to
Right.
do whatever. And just the fact that I would still even work with her because she just needed me to still work with her, right? So when I taught her and showed her, and she actually tested things out with me because she knew so much about the tax code, and we worked together on a lot of it. And she was so excited to know it for her own self that she is able to
I would
help.
think anybody with a brain would be like, this is great information. Thank you.
Yeah. She is helping people who still are terrified and want to do the taxes get better, money back because she's so confident and knows about the fraud. So, we have folks on the assembly who, one of the spouses is terrified about the tax thing while the other one is like, no, I'm not doing it. So I always suggest, I'm like, I know a lady, and she can help you. And,
Right.
and she'll help them get most of the return back or whatever, because that, husband or wife is not comfortable. So, anyway,
Yeah.
I think most of these guys would be open to learn, and most of them actually know that it's not really real.
Right.
So,
I mean, we have their own IRS agents that are whistleblowers now. So
yeah.
I don't know what more you need.
No. And again, thank you, Sean, for throwing this up there for anybody who still hasn't seen it.
Yep.
Just look that up, guys. Put that in your little Google search.
Right.
And it'll just give it to you. Anyway, Tammy, I know you have a lot going on. I know I want to respect your time. I think this was good. This was fun. I appreciate the conversation, and I hope that this was helpful for everyone out there in recognizing, it isn't just about the manipulation and whatever on our assemblies. It is us trying to work with everybody in our communities and, help them also begin to see what is real and what is happening, because we want everyone to be released from bondage, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Even though some people have that Stockholm syndrome, where they're defending their prison guards,
Yeah.
and their slave masters, but
Yeah.
and some people may not ever want to get out of bondage, but for those that have the eyes to see, the ears to hear, and want to live with true freedom, those are the ones that we're interested in speaking with, and so, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We really, our work is to free all men from bondage. Did you know we did 2 big time jumps last week?
Too big what?
we did 2 big time jumps last week.
Oh, no.
And
I
so there's a lot of shifting going on. Our frequencies are really, you know, moving a lot higher. And we know that we can make a mental quantum leap. And so we should be doing everything to prepare our minds for that. Because the frequencies, oh, this is an emergency. Hold on. Okay. When it breaks through all the silencing, that means I need to probably get on a call. Anyway,
All right. Well,
I
we
apologize,
can end
everybody, for
today,
that.
but this was a great conversation, and I do think that that this is going to help, the audience, share this out, and Neethi, I don't know if in the show notes if you can connect the actual video that we showed today of the guy describing all the different tactics. That would probably be good for the audience as well. But yeah, this was great. And yeah, I know you're busy too, Neethi, so we probably should end this today. Oh, you're muted.
Sorry. I was going to say that I actually posted that link on my Telegram channel, guys, and that link is in the show notes. So
Beautiful.
I encourage everybody to go there, and then you can, it's also on my YouTube channel, actually, as a short.
Yeah. I've actually took your short and I shared it out.
Oh, cool.
When you shared it with us last night. Yeah. So it was great.
Oh, good. Well, all right, everybody. I really appreciate you guys so much. I'm sorry all this chaos is going on over here. So I appreciate everyone, and we love you so much. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Bye, everybody.